About a month ago, I held a Discord track building competition where we got all the members of our Discord to build Zeepkist tracks. The requirements were you had to build a track with a 1-minute validation time, and we played through all of them in a Discord live stream. I was originally going to pick the top 3 tracks and have you guys vote on them in the comments down below, but instead I decided to do a super edit and let you pick which track out of the 16 you like the best. So I'm going to show you guys my best run in each of the tracks, and you can pick in the comments down below by typing a number 1 through 16. After a couple weeks, I'll add up all the numbers and we'll award some Discord roles for those people who won the track building competition. Now, I did only include the best run of each track, and I'm going to try and actually sort of give you my thoughts on each track, but of course, it's all up to you guys to pick which track you like the best. So the first track is called Con Track Submission by Chisps, and I actually really liked all the tracks that were submitted in this competition. There was only one that I couldn't finish completely, but they were all really well done and thought out. This one is sort of like a nice flowy track. It's got some loop sections, you know, first and third person switching views. And, you know, I don't really want to talk too much because I don't want to necessarily bias anybody's views, but I did enjoy all the tracks. There were some that were really crazily aesthetically done. There were some that just had a good flow. And of course, there were some that I just completely won on. So, you know, obviously I'm a little biased to the tracks that I could win. But this track, pretty simple track, flows nicely. It's got a few choices at the beginning and the end. But, you know, a nice combination of first and third person view. Of course, the barrel rolls, which I always love. And a nice simple track with a very simple layout. And boom, done. Nice 47 seconds, and I got a second place with that time. The next track is called Aftermath by Spuzzle, and this track was insane. The amount of aesthetic work done on this track is absolutely crazy. You can see right off the bat onto a collapsed bridge into a spiral down this waterfall. Really, really cool stuff. And then going through this sort of wonderful forested section. Really, really difficult track to figure out. We did spend 8 minutes playing each track, so there was some time to figure it out, but not a whole lot of time. I believe I won this track. I'm not sure, but really, really, really impressive with all the aesthetics, all the like rocks painted to look like bushes there. Just really cool stuff. And then of course into the sewer with some, you know, water at the bottom. I really, really like this. This is actually where I got the inspiration to do the acid sewer effect for my acid track. And look at that, a nice 40.6, just completely destroying even the author on this, and I'm pretty sure I won at the end of it. Next track was Celestial by Oasis. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry. A really cool track here. It was space-themed track with some asteroids and stuff, and of course some of the neon colors. I actually should do a track like this where it feels like you're in space floating on neon platforms. I've seen a fair number of them on the Zeepkist workshop, and they're really impressive to do. This one had a pretty good flow. I didn't mind it. I liked it a lot, actually. And of course, it's got some of these clear tubes, which in space look kind of difficult. They're kind of hard to see. But a really, really nice track overall. And of course, a lot of first person in this. But, you know, just really smooth lines. There's some brake pads as well to help keep you, you know, going at the right speed so you don't overshoot the track. I don't know how I think about brake pads, to be honest, just in general. I find, you know, they do help in a lot of tracks, but sometimes it's nice to force the player to brake too. Gives you a little bit of variation. And this ending is amazing. Look at this black hole. Looks just like a black hole. Perfect. New track by Destroy the Xylon Base Star by Cimaras. This is a, I guess, Battlestar Galactica track. I never actually watched Battlestar Galactica, but, you know, I do know what it is. I'm pretty sure Cosmo watched Battlestar Galactica. It's, you know, it's a TV show, good times. And, yeah, really cool track. Another kind of space-themed track, all sort of tubular, going really, really fast through the tubes. But really, really nice. Look at all the laser beams and all the ships and stuff. There's so many people who do all these like crazy ships that you just, you know, these spaceships made out of parts. And that's just a lot of effort to do that. You can scale parts, obviously, in the map editor. You can do it. We've done it before. But it's still a lot of effort to make some of these crazy, crazy designs that people do. And this track, you know, you got steel beams as laser beams. It looks amazing. And then going into this final section, all these finishes put together. And I didn't win this track, unfortunately. Next track called Con Event by Mr. Postman. You know, another wonderful track. This track I remember being relatively difficult to figure out. Of course, we did have some 8 minutes. And, you know, with all these tracks, I actually included just my best run. I went through and checked what was my best timed run. And that's the one that I'm showing you guys. So you get a real appreciation for the entire track start to finish. But yeah, this track I remember being very, very difficult, and I actually only probably got one good run out of it. There's a lot of spots where you get tricked up and, you know, screw up the track, but a really, really cool track. I like the fact that there's some pieces that aren't all attached, like this jump, for example. You got to take that and completely jump the entire track. You got to dodge, you know, the random fridge for some reason. and, you know, not overshoot any of this stuff. So really, really difficult, but a really fun track once you understand the flow of it. And then, of course, right into the finish, going full speed through these boosters. I'm not sure if I won this. I think I came close to winning. I might have. I think I won it. I'm pretty sure. But a very difficult track, really fun nonetheless. You can see only 30 seconds left when that time was set. Next track is called Lakeside Racing by Pixel Thomas. This was a really cool track. I really liked it. Nice, clean track. Now, of course, there are going to be numbers in the top left of the screen. That is the number if you want to vote for any track in particular. I know it might be hard to keep track of which one is number 1 through 16, but I'm going to keep those numbers in the top left. So if there's any track that you really like, make sure you put that in the comments down below. This track, the one thing I liked about it is the fact that he used some green material that looked like grass to make like a fake green grass or whatever, but it's not actually grass. It gives you full grip, whereas the normal grass would give you some weird sort of slippy grip. But it's a pretty cool track. I like it. I like this hill transfer here, where you had to just sort of roll over the top of the hill. Really kind of neat stuff. And it does really look like you're driving on the side of a lake, which I thought was kind of nice. Really simple track. It's got a nice flow to it. Doesn't have anything too crazy or too difficult to do. You just got to sort of maintain your speed. And then, of course, finish up right in this barn here. Really wonderful track. Next track is called Pirates Cove by Gwadel. This is an interesting track, actually. I remember this one being quite difficult, but fun. It just was a relatively simple track, not exactly that long, but you had to do some hands-up jumps here to actually make those jumps nice, slow. You had to, of course, hug the wall to go as fast as possible. This is one of these tracks where, you know, the tightest line is going to be the line that gets you the victory. And, of course, it's really hard to maintain those super tight lines when you're going slow because, you know, you can't turn too much or else you miss it. So I remember this track being really, really fun and really difficult to, you know, break down the times. You can see on the leaderboard, lots of people with very close times. Everyone in the 48s pretty much, except for one person in the 47s. So really, really tough track. Now, when we were recording these, I actually was live streaming in the Discord and I was chatting. Other people couldn't talk just to keep the chaos down, but I was telling them my experiences with all these tracks. Next track is Rampage Track 2 Medium by Mr. Smith. This was a cool track. This was kind of supposed to be, I think, like the Red Bull Rampage. It was actually one track with 5 different tracks in it. So we picked the medium. There was an easy, slightly less easy, medium, and then slightly hard and super hard. And it's basically one map with 5 different routes that you can take, 5 different layouts of checkpoints. So technically speaking, it's uploaded as 5 different tracks on the workshop, but you only are playing one of them at a time. Kind of a cool concept. It's one big mountain and you're doing sort of like the mountain biking thing, but you know, you could pick any one of the 5 tracks and it just changes the checkpoint location. Kind of neat. Might have to do a track like that at some point where, you know, you can choose which one you want to play. But really, in Zeepkist, you are playing all 5 different tracks. Like, you'd have to play all 5 of them at 5 different times. But still a cool idea. I remember this one being relatively hard, very technical. Lots of, you know, scaled sections to make it harder. Little narrow mountain biking paths. And, of course, finding the right jump lines is really critical in this kind of a track. Next track is The Red Carpet by Poland. I remember this track quite well. It was a very difficult track, but really fun. Had a good flow. You know, you had to pick up some speed, and then, of course, you had to take some banked corners at high speed, which was always fun to do. You got to maintain a nice low trajectory and just kind of just touching the wall, but enough to, you know, keep yourself not losing too much speed. And then there was this section here, which I remember was the hardest part. There were these, like, bumpy things where they had like the track bumping, and if you went down the middle, you just did not keep control. So you had to keep yourself to the outside there and just sort of bumping your way through, maintaining this as fast as possible, and of course trying to hug that inside wall. Very, very important. And then we went into this wonderful tunnel section, and it was just a really nice track. It just had a good flow. It felt good to drive it, and it's one of those tracks that it was easy enough to finish but hard to get a good time, which I always like that. And of course, the finish here, you'd think you'd have to dodge the broken section, but nope, you don't want to do that. You want to go straight down the middle of the broken section, land in, and boom, 102.464. Fastest time of the session, I'm pretty sure. Next track was Sewer Tour by XL Kingskill LX, and of course this one you gotta hug the wall right away, stay super, super close to the inside line, and just sort of run it or else you're gonna avoid going slow. You can see people trying to do it on the outside there. I don't think that's the solution. And then down into this crazy sewer section, which was actually kind of difficult because you gotta make sure you don't hit any of these rocks while driving in sort of like a curved area. But I really like the people who've been doing these water type tracks. It's kind of nice. I kind of wish Zeepkist had some sort of a water, but you know, either way, doing it with the textured stuff is really cool. And then, of course, doing pipe section. I love pipe tracks. I think they're really, really fun to do. And then that's it. Really simple, really easy, but, you know, very difficult to go fast. Next track is Compact Track by Ghost King 33. This track is exactly what it says. It's very compact. It's a little slow in the beginning, but it gets really fast, really quick, and it's very, very difficult to go fast on. I'm not sure if I won this. See this half wall transfer, and then you gotta jump across and transfer again. And then the finish is actually insane as well. But that transfer is really where you make or break your run. And of course, these pipe sections, you gotta maintain stability, then boom, smashing into the wall, but then you fall down into the finish. So really cool idea. I ended up winning, I think, but very, very difficult to do fast. This track, Square Peaks by Sek Awesome, or Sika Awesome, I hope I said that right. But anyway, this track I remember being very difficult. Hands up on a lot of jumps and very, very difficult jumps. This jump, very tough to make, and you gotta land it just perfect, just to be able to barely make this jump, which was also very, very difficult to do. And then, of course, loop around and get this really, really cool track, very technical track, and very, very hard jumps. You gotta have the perfect lines to actually make these. And I remember trying for a long, long time and not being able to make that jump, finally getting it, and of course, using the hands up trick to really get that extra height. But really, really well done, really aesthetically pleasing, and it kind of looks like some old, you know, temple pillars or something like that. Really neat track. Over the broken bridge, of course, down into this section, looping through, and then right to the finish. You know, very, very cool track, very technical, but really awesome. This track was Khaki Kistis by Icy and Derp, and this track was actually insanely hard. This was the only one I didn't finish. This was supposed to be like one of the Khaki tracks, which is a Trackmania thing where they're just these super difficult, impossible tracks. And the big thing was these ice drift corners. So this was the best run I got. Still wasn't enough to finish. And you can see, you gotta do that ice corner, and then you gotta do this one, which is like, you gotta slide sideways with the perfect drift through the fans just to make it. And I almost bounced into the checkpoint. I was like, look at that. It was so close. I almost bounced it, but yeah, very difficult. To the Oasis by Bletrazer, I honestly, I can't pronounce names, I'm so sorry. But anyway, this track was kind of cool. You had to go to the Oasis. I really liked it. In the beginning there, you could actually drop down and do sort of a weird skip, but after doing it for a while, I think we all figured out it was faster to just do the track normally. And yeah, you just kind of go up, fly over, nice little jump. Got some loops. Really, really cool aesthetic. It looks kind of like a desert. I guess it is to the Oasis. That would make sense. But yeah, really nice track. Flows smoothly. You got to have enough speed to make some jumps. Of course, running into some turns here. Braking a little bit at the end, but I just kind of smashed into the wall. I'm sure you could brake and do that a little better and take that line with a little bit more speed. But yeah, really fun track. And then it's got a finish built up on the side here, which is kind of cool. So you got to jump up into the finish and boom, done. Second place. This track was called Walls by XL Kingskill. Again, LX, apparently a couple people submitted some extras and I didn't really notice, but that's okay, to be honest. It's nice to have more tracks. So this track was really cool. Just some really fast wall rides. You had to pick the one direction, which always seemed to be top, and then go down into the bottom, which sets you up for the next wall ride. And just a really fast wall ride track, which is kind of cool. Of course, with wall rides like this in Zeepkist, the key is to not steer. You gotta just stay straight as long as possible. The only thing about this track which was interesting is once you got into this tube section here, you just had to pretty much set yourself up and then not touch your controller. So you kind of set yourself up here as fast as you can, and then just kind of let go of your controller and let it naturally go around this so you don't lose speed. You are going uphill, but there's fans that you pass every so often to kind of speed yourself back up. So really, really neat track, but this section here, you can tell, just a relatively long spiral section. Then, of course, getting up to the top, doing a loop down, and going straight down through the spiral, making sure you set yourself up and go into the finish. Perfect. The final track was called Yuki Dropper by Yuki. This was a dropper track, which I don't know how this really works in Zeepkist because you can't really steer much in air. You can kind of steer yourself a little bit. I didn't finish this track. There's a finish way at the bottom, and there's just a nightmare of parts in between. So I wasn't able to get an actual time. There were people who did. This was my furthest run, the furthest down I got. But yeah, very difficult track, and I'm not exactly sure if droppers really, really work in Zeepkist. I know in Minecraft there's like droppers and stuff, but I'm pretty sure you can like move your character in air in Minecraft. Whereas with Zeepkist, you can spin, and that's about it. You can't really do much. You can spin, and you can kind of like put your hands up to flatten your car out. You can see the finish right there in the middle. I was kind of hoping for a bounce in, But yeah, no, it didn't happen. So if you guys like those tracks, make sure you vote in the comments down below, 1 through 16, which track you thought was the best. We will check the results in a couple weeks, and of course, get on the Discord if you want to be part of the next track building competition. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time.